Okay, so in this movie, we're going to take a look at creating a couple of very easy animations in Flash. So again, in Flash, we can see that we're really using this film, this movie language. So we have our stage, our pace, but we could even say this is, off stage, backstage. Um, and often what we do in Flash is called movies. All right, so let's begin. We're going to take a look at, we're going to begin with really how do we create a very simple movie in Flash. This begins just like this. All right, so we come in and our three really popular windows that we're going to need will be our properties window, our library window, and library will make sense to you in a minute, and our tools bar. All right, so we're going to begin first, and we're just going to grab a shape, any shape, choose whichever one you'd like, and I'm going to grab the oval tool. And I have a color selected, my stroke is turned off, and you can see right here we need to be not in drawing mode in order to make an animation happen. So what we can do though is if we're in object drawing mode, and I have a video on that so you know the difference. Well, fine, if I was to come in right now and say insert motion tween, it's going to say to me, this cannot happen because I need to convert it to a symbol. So I'll say, okay. All right, so what I do is I come to modify, convert to symbol, and I could name this pink circle, and I'm going to hit okay. All right, now all I need to do now is I come in to, and I must have inserted the tween. Okay. Or yes, I did insert the tween because you can see that I know I inserted the tween because, actually let me remove the tween. I'll reinsert it so you can see. All right. So I come to insert motion tween. And all I do, I can see that now this has moved all the way to the end here. So what I want to do is I want to grab my selection tool, and what I need to do first, this is the beginning of it, and I'm saying to Flash, okay, this pink circle begins right here. And I'm going to click to the end, and I'm going to pull this over here, and I'm telling Flash that it ends there. So I click back to the beginning frame, and I can see it moved. I click to the ending frame. I can see the ending frame is ending with a diamond. Okay. All right. So I start at the beginning, and then I click and I play. Bum, ba, bum. There we go. Okay. So, and actually I can name this. I'll name this layer pink. Okay. Now this layer right here is all of my type. Okay, and I made this type. Now, in order for this type to work, I had to convert my type also to a symbol. If you just work with the plain old type tool from the tools panel, you cannot animate it until you convert it to a symbol. All right, so let's take a look at our first little thing here. We're going to take a look at playing around with the alpha channel. Okay, so what does this mean? I move that over there. I'm going to click on this guy. I want to get off of that layer, and I'm going to click the pink one, and I begin right here. Now, first of all, what's really cool is, let's say I want to move this. Actually, I can move just that one, but let's say that I want to take this object and change the course of it. Well, I could do that, right? I could click this over like this, take this little and move this over like that. Okay, so then again, I click, and things have changed like so. Now again, just like in our other layers, if you're familiar with some of the other programs, we can change around our layer order. So if I wanted my type to be on top. Okay, so there we have it. All right, so what is alpha? Well, alpha actually refers to transparency. So what I want to do now is, as my pink circle moves across the page, I want to change the transparency of the pink circle. And it is as easy as this. I begin in frame 1 on the pink layer. I click, I'm in frame 1, I can tell that. I make sure that my pink circle is selected, and I can tell that it's selected because when I see it here, it's going to say, oh, pink circle, okay? And what I want to do is I'm going to come into the color effect, and here it is. I'm going to come to alpha, and I'm going to begin, why don't I begin with a transparency of 100%. Okay, now I'm going to come to this frame at the end right here. Okay, and what I want to do here, I want to make sure that it's selected. It's not selected right now. I need to click there to make sure that it is. Now what I want to do is I'm going to fade it out. I'm going to lower the transparency. Why don't we lower it to 0? Okay, I'll click back to frame 1 and I'll hit play on the controller, and I can see it fades out as it moves along. All right, very cool. All right, let's try another one. I click this right here. I'm going to come back. Okay, there it is. Okay, the next one we want to do is we want to we want to play around and move it across our stage and change the size of it. All right, so I'm going to grab size change. I'm going to move him over here. Okay, and next thing we're going to come back to the tools bar, and let's grab a different shape. Why not? Let's grab a rectangle. I'm just going to get the rectangle tool, and I'll change the color. Why not? Change it to this color. Okay, and I can click. Okay. Now what we need to do, first thing is we need to now convert this to a symbol. Okay, so we can see that that's what we need to do. So I'm going to come into modify, convert to symbol, and I'm going to name this blue rectangle. I'll click OK. All right, now next thing I want to do is insert motion tween. I'm going to this guy is now layer 5. I'm going to name him blue. Same thing if I want my type to be on top, I need to move him over here. Okay, and all I need to do, very, very easy, and where is he? Blue, there he is. Okay, he's coming out to the same size as the other ones, is I'm going to first drag this down. Okay, oops, and actually I did that wrong. All right, what I need to do is, and maybe you know, is I need to come to the end right here, click, and now I'm going to drag right there. Okay, so now I can see it. All right, and we'll click play. All right, and we can see they're both playing at the same time. Okay, because the reason why is they're on the same timeline. Okay, so we could, if we wanted things to play differently, we could adjust where things are, but we'll just keep it like this for now. All right, so how do I go about changing the size? Because this first one says size change. So here goes. I start at the beginning right there. I click, I select, I come to my properties panel. Now, make sure that when you come to size that the width and the height are proportionate. If it's locked, it will stay proportionate. Okay, so I come to blue, I go to the end, and what I'll do is I'll click on here again. I can see the size. I can take my scrubby and we're going to make him smaller. Now this is moving over too. I could take this and, well, let's just leave it like that. All right, so we click play and we see the 2. Okay. If you hear snoring beside me, I have a snoring pug. All right, so let's move along. Let's take a look at a filter. So I'm going to bring this filter guy over here. And same type of thing. I'm going to start moving a little bit quicker. It's all done the same way. I'm going to come on in here. I'm going to grab a shape, any shape. Let's go for the, let's just keep it simple. Let's go for another oval. I'm going to select a different color. Okay. Again, this color right here, this is a drawing object, so I need to convert it to a symbol. Modify, convert to symbol. I'm going to name this purple. I'll click OK. It's telling me that it's going into my library. One more time, I come on in, insert motion tween. I can see that on my timeline that this is now layer 6. I can move this down below to there. I can name this purple too. Again, it's good to keep everything straight in our minds. Okay, and I have my motion tween. All I need to do, I believe, yep, I clicked motion tween. I can tell that I did because I see the blue line has come on out. All right, so I click there at the very beginning. I come, let's see, how should we move this guy? We're going to do a filter. Why don't we bring him over like this? Why not? We'll move things across one another. And then we come and we click right here, and we have the ending part of our shape. All right, so what do we want to do though? We want to add a filter to this motion tween, and we want to see it change as it moves. Okay, so we could actually play this. Let's begin. Oh, and I didn't do my first one correctly, so let me change it. All right, let's come back to purple. Okay, this would be frame 1. Okay, all right, so this is actually frame 1. Okay, all right, so now I want to click right to there, and I'm going to let this be frame 2. All right, there we go. Now I see my line, and I'm moving through. They're moving across one another. All right, and now we're going to change the filter to this. All right, so now let's actually work with the filter. So I click the beginning keyframe, the beginning frame, frame 1. And as I come into my properties panel, I need to have this selected, and I can come on into filters. Here is the filter menu down below. And what I can do here is I can click add filter, and I'm going to say, let's add a bevel. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, now what we could do though is let's change it as it moves. So we begin here, and then we come to the end, and we click right to there, and we look at this, and let's actually let's get rid of the blur, and let's lower this. Actually, no, let's keep the strength. We can make it even a little bit stronger. And let's make the quality of it a high. All right, it's going to be just more of a simple change, but let's take a look. Okay, moving right along. Well, and again, we can see that what we've done too is that we've added a filter, and that might be something that you're interested in doing. All right, let's do our last one of this exercise. We are going to look at the motion preset. So I'm going to click this right in here, and I'll start this right here. And we're going to work with the motion presets and a little bit of a bouncing ball. So we come to Window, and let's open up the motion presets. All right, and actually I'll come back to that one because it's covering things up, but know that it's behind everything else. Let's grab my hand, I can move this over. I can see I can have a little bit more space for things when I do that. Okay. All right, so we begin. We come back to our tools, motion presets. Let's do another circle. Lots of circles today. I click, I drag. I'm going to change the color of this guy. Make sure he's selected. Let's do something a little bit warmer. Okay, there we go. All right, and now I'm going to convert this to a symbol, modify, convert to symbol, and I'll name this one bounce because that's what it's going to do. Next thing we're going to do, insert motion tween. Okay, if I take a look at my timeline, I have layer 7. I'll name this one orange. Okay, same thing as I did with all the other ones, and I could play around with the order of things. Whatever is on top is what will be on top. So if we want something to be behind something else, we can arrange the layers. Now, let's begin. We have this first one. Okay, everyone's to the first. And now I'm going to take this, and I'm going to drag it out, and I'm going to release. Okay, first thing I need to do before I do that. Okay, remembering these steps is click to the end. I'm going to click, drag this out. Voila. All right, let's just play it, and then we'll add the motion preset. Okay, we can see them moving across one another. We come to the very beginning, and And let's take a look at what these motion presets are. Okay, now what we find in the motion presets is we have a bunch of default presets. Okay, we have a bunch of default presets, and we also have custom presets. So you might find that you create this really cool animation and you want to save it and apply it to multiple symbols. This is where you would save that. Then you could actually apply it. But we have some really cool default ones too. And you can see when we click that there they have, this is a bounce. This is a bounce out in 3D. A bounce smush, smush, smush. Okay, and there's a bunch of more. You can play around with them. So I like this bounce smush, and the way that I created my symbol, I think that's gonna work best. So I'm gonna hit apply, and it says you're gonna replace the current motion, and I say yes, that is okay. And now I preview, and voila. Okay, that one is longer than the others. Okay, so what I could do and you can see what happened is my other ones, they all disappeared. So how am I going to fix that? Well, I am going to actually drag out the other ones to meet with that one. Dun, 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 dun. Now you can see that in this preset that it has a lot of other, I'm going to drag it right to there. Okay, so I could go in and do that with all of mine to make them all stay in unison with one another. All right, let's just hit play. You'll see that there's another one that's there. Okay, there we go. All right, now I can see I'm going to drag these out so they're all in unison. And what I'm doing now is the time is extended on these guys. And the type, we want the type to stay too. All right. So here goes. All right, there we go. Okay, so there we have it. And actually, I want to get my type to come all the way out. I didn't drag this out properly. All right. Another thing that we're going to want to do is preview this all in a Flash player. So how would we go about doing that? Hold on for 1 minute. Get everything lined up and working properly. All right, so one thing that you're going to want to do too is actually test the movie. All right, so I'm going to say that I want to test this movie in Flash Professional. When I click this, what happens is it creates the SWF file, the SWF file. And the SWF file is the file that Flash creates. So in order to play the FLA file, you actually need to have Flash. You need to run Flash. And the SWF file is supported by the Adobe Flash Player. Now, you can see that when I exported this file, when I said to test, I said test it in Flash Professional. But there are other options and to export our files from Flash. And I think this is a place where things are changing quite a bit with HTML5. Again, SWF files, you need to have a Flash player in order to play them. And the reason is because there's so many graphics there. So it really condenses them in order to play them. We'll find that on the Mac QuickTime Player is their version of Flash Player, and even Windows has its own player to do so. Thank you for listening. Come visit my website. My website is, whoops, there's listening to Slacker Radio, www.learnartanddesign.com. And what you'll find on my website, www.learnartanddesign.com, is that I am organizing all of these videos so you can follow through them in a way that makes sense. Thanks for listening.